Hi, welcome to Ray Sensation. I'm your host, Dan, and in this episode, I am going to be taking a look at four new books I got. This one is Pulp Hope 2, 40 Years of Scream, The Legend of Kamui, and Richard Corben's Den, Volume 5. Right, so here we have Pulp Hope 2. I'm not sure what the 2 stands for. It says, unless maybe it's just saying, hey, this is the second time this stuff's printing it out. I really don't know. Anyway, this is a collection of Paul Pope's earliest work, and it really is a deep dive. I mean, well, if we wait till you see it, it's a big, beautiful hardcover book. Here you go. You see, look how big that is. Looks really great. There's Paul. Now, when I got this, I thought, I heard this was about his earliest stuff, and so I thought it was going to start with. The first thing I remember from Paul is THB, and that was a comic I really loved his artwork, but it was really hard to track down. And, I was following so many different artists that, to be honest, if something was too hard to get, at the time I was, probably not following through as much as I could. But see, this is what I mean by really early. Here are the first cartoons he drew. This is from when he was a kid. Look at that. I mean, there are not many people, I don't think, who have saved all that kind of stuff, but I'm glad he did. And then, like I say, the first thing I was familiar with was THB. I thought that was going to be in here. None of that's in here. Apparently, that's the second volume in this reissue series is going to be the collected THB. So I'm really looking forward to that. This, because he's got such an interesting structure to some of his pages and stuff, like this looks like a comic. But some of the later stuff, if you could, I could have been convinced that they were just like this. This could have just been an illustration, not necessarily a page from a comic. I think this is the one that the cartoonist kayfabe guys showed off. Somebody looked at this one, and I know the cartoonist kayfabe. Oh, this might not be it. This might be the one they showed off. Oh, look at this. Look at this absolutely amazing stuff. Gosh, so beautiful to look at. This is really, really fantastic. The amount of energy. Wow. That was, I think someone else showed off that issue. That wasn't the cartoon. The cartoonist kayfabe guys did one of the other ones here in the back. We'll get to it. I think I remember which one they did. Look at that. I have no idea if this matches the original color this was printed in or not, because I don't know this stuff. And then they have a lot of things explaining processes and different stuff and where he was in his life. It's really interesting. I haven't had a chance to really read everything yet, and I don't know where some of these pictures were printed. I mean, this is a pretty famous one that was printed in a lot of different places, or I guess I saw it online a lot or something. I don't know. I'm very familiar with that image. There's a couple images that have become lodged in my conscious. I don't know where from. But, considering it, this is his earliest stuff and how young he was when he was doing this, it's just absolutely amazing. And, he had a life where he lived in different places around the world at various points, and it kind of shows. It feels very much like a worldly kind of look. It doesn't feel like the average American cartoonist stuff. Oh, there's THB. I don't think this says the... yeah, this is the one that they showed on the Cartoonist Kayfabe. The kind of acrobatic one, I think. I don't really remember at this point, but... yeah, this doesn't have any of the stuff that I'm familiar with, though. I'm not sure where some of this stuff was printed. I don't, like I said, a lot of these pages look like just like illustrations that are... Oh, this boxing segment here is amazing, too. Just wild. I'm a big... what this reminds me of is the way that... and I'm sure that... well, I don't know. I can't say for certain. But Daniel Warren Johnson, with his action scenes, I think he's probably seen some of this stuff and taken a little bit from it. Like, I don't know where all this was originally done. Printed, rather. Wow. I mean, there's posters and stuff here for music events and stuff, but so this is supposed to be a video of a bunch of short looks at books. Get carried away, though. Behind the scenes stuff, sure. There's color separations and... wow. There's another good story here, really well colored. But Taurus Satana. Yeah, the Lone Wolf and Cub stuff for the Criterion disc. I got that. Wow. So there you go. There's a quick look at that. Hopefully I didn't mess that up too much. It looks like I might have got off screen a little bit. So anyway, so now I'm very happy I have this. It looks like the next volume is going to be the one that's going to cover the stuff that I'm kind of more familiar with. But I think this is just beautiful, very beautiful, and, just fantastic line work. So this book is 40 Years of Scream, the archival collection. It's a British book, and you're going to see names like right on the cover here, like Alan Moore and John Wagner, who you might recognize. You're not going to recognize the material in this book, I don't think, if you're one of my American viewers, and most of my viewers are American. This is not... Here in America, when we think of Scream, we usually think of the Skywald publication. This was done in competition with Creepy and Eerie. This is an early 70s magazine, horror magazine. But this is actually a British weekly from the early 80s. And there were only 15 issues put out altogether. Here they give a little history of the magazine, and it's pretty brief. It only lasted 15 weeks. It actually lasted longer than that just because even though it was weekly, some of these came out after the fact, a little bit later, from what I gather in here. Here's the contents page. I think the Alan Moore has one 4-pager. at the very beginning. I think that's all that's his, and I don't think you're going to read it and go, oh, I see that Alan Moore. Wow, yeah, I can see where he's coming from. I don't think you'll have that. So it's a weekly, and as far from the perusal I've given this so far, the longest things in here were 4 pages a week for some of these stories. Dracula File was one of them. I can't help but make comparisons to the Tomb of Dracula, because it's something where they're bringing Dracula back in the modern day, and how is he reacting to the modern day. And then the other continuing one is this one, Monster, which is about a young man who befriends, I guess it's supposed to be his uncle, who's hidden up in the attic, and he's born like deformed, and he looks like a monster, and he's treated like a monster. But when the young man interacts with him and treats him kindly, he's very reasonable. It seems like a good guy just being mistreated, but he's easy to have him go into a rage and kill people. And that's the big thing there. And then there's a lot of, just short. Some of them are only like 3 pages. There's 1-page stories in here. This is a 1-page gag thing. I do like the way he's drawn that, about a creepy mask, but actually the mask isn't creepy. The mask is when the guy looks normal, and he's really this horrible monster looking thing. And there's also a lot of typical British boys comic humor gag things, which are the fact is I knew very little about this magazine beforehand. I'd see people post pictures from some of the artwork online. I would not have bought this, but someone else who knew I wasn't probably going to buy it for myself, but thought I might enjoy it, picked that up for me as a gift. And I'm not sorry to have it. There is some interesting things going on. I would not have bought it for myself, and I don't know that this is something that most people would find necessary to own. Here's the uncle who looks like a monster. The boy subdues. This is when the boy first meets him, and he subdues him, and they start to become friends. I really haven't read that much of it. Just I was looking at some of the Dracula stories and the monster stories. So there's that. Like I said, there's great artwork in it. It's the early 80s. It's a great time. There's a lot of great British artists, and there's some here. I wouldn't say this is going to be anybody's highlight of their careers kind of thing, but there's a lot of fun stuff in here. I think it's really more for English fans who might have some nostalgia for this or might be interested in this. But who am I to say? There, the monster makes the cover. Dracula makes the back cover. There's the occasional color spread there. So that's all I really have to say about that. I don't know. Hopefully this will give you enough of an idea to know if you want to pick this up or not. Okay? All right, so this book is The Legend of Kamui by Shirado Sanpai. This one I'll be as brief as I can on it. I know that the manga gets a lot more reviews. I think this is going to be heavily reviewed. This is a very famous classic manga, and some people are familiar with Kamui from the Eclipse, and then Viz published Kamui comics they were publishing the version that had come out in the 80s. In the 80s, Kamui was revisited, and those are the ones we're familiar with, and I love those books. They're great. But this is the original Kamui, which ran from 1964 to 1971. And I think these are the first time these have ever been printed in English, as far as I know. And the style, the art style is going to be different. It's going to be that cleaner, earlier manga look. It's going to look more like, other 60s manga. And the question will be there's our cast of characters. This book has such a huge cast of characters. And I will admit that occasionally I might have gone like, wait, who's this guy again? But they've done a terrific job. Shirato, rather, has done a terrific job of keeping these characters separate, followable, and you can keep up with the motivations behind them. And, that's what these books are about. They're about the politics of the times, the class problems at the time, and, the idea about whether someone can really rise from their humble beginnings to get anywhere else, and how unbalanced the system was in favor of the rich. And there is a lot of stories, nature stories throughout this, where he'll suddenly just go off and follow an animal's life somewhere. In this case, bears, wolves throughout. And, I think, I'm not sure where I read it. Maybe it's in the back of this book, where they said the author was like, don't read too much into this. It's just to show the way the animal hierarchy works and the way the human hierarchy works, but you're not supposed to see a one-to-one comparison. Just the artwork is so terrific. You can see how simple these panels are, but it's just such good storytelling. This was just a great time. Thanks to Tezuka and his work on like Astro Boy and stuff. There was the art of storytelling was really at a high point there in Japan with these simple panels that say so much. Like I said, this one's one, probably a lot of you already know about it. You might be surprised at the level of brutality, maybe not. I mean, if you had looked at an American comic at the same time period, we of course had the big Comics Code Authority scare, and so there was nothing approaching the kind of brutality in the regular American comics that are in here. Again, a lot more force stuff. A lot of it. There we are, back to the humans. Again, a lot of stuff about class, how unfair the system was, and how people suffer. I mean, it is weird to look at these cute faces. That's why in a way, I definitely kind of prefer the 80s, where it's a much more modern kind of look to the characters and to the faces and stuff. But this is good. This is really good. Like I said, they keep clear who's who, what's going on, and there's a ton of characters. So anyway, that's a quick look at that. Like I said, there's a lot of reviews out there. I was just mainly doing this to point out, in case you might have missed it, this is not reissues of the Kamui that's already come out. That was the 80s stuff. This is the 60s stuff. And to be honest, I enjoyed the 80s stuff more. Of course, it didn't have all the outdoor animal stuff in it, which might be making me lean more towards it. But yeah, I definitely think it's worth seeing. You should check it out. I'm not sure how many volumes there's going to have to be. They say they're going to do the complete run. I don't know. I don't know how many there's going to be. They've only announced the second volume, but it's going to take a lot more volumes than that to finish this off. At least 4 volumes. So there you go. Okay, and here we're going to look at the 5th volume of Dark Horse's collection of the Den comics. This is, of course, by Richard Corben. The title of this volume is The Prince of Memories. And I remember reading this under the title, and I think I still have some volumes of it around, some of the issues around, Den Saga. This has got, Jose Villarrubia, gives some background on the creation of this. I think the big thing he says in here that this is where Corben first really starts playing around a lot with Photoshop. And here you can see one of his collage works. I remember not thinking very much of this when I first saw it in the comic, but, here it doesn't look bad. I've never seen this collected anywhere else. I just remember it in the comics. So I don't know how it might have just been the way it was reproduced in the comic. I know it has been collected. I don't know if it was collected here in the U.S., but I think it has been collected overseas. But this one, again, is, it has memory in the title. There is, again, this question of who are these people? What are these characters' roles? How do they relate to each other? And it's all mixed up again. And that's a big part of this. There is some action going on here, as you can see. But I think this is one of the ones where there is a lot of, once he gets to the paradise area, which of course is no paradise for him, that is great. I mean, the artwork here, there's things he does with color and shadow in here that's just as, it's just fantastic. And the self-censorship he had done in some of the dens is lifted again. I'm not sure what led to that. I guess he just thought, I might as well put it in. Put it back in, I don't know. I know he self-censored some of the issues for a while there because he was afraid the comic shops wouldn't carry it. But it's back again here. Some very expressive faces in this, too. The usual great monsters. Like I said, there gets to be a lot of talking, a lot of wondering about who you can trust, how these people are related to each other, and how these characters, is it exactly following the way the characters were in earlier volumes? And are these like alternate universe versions of characters or what have you? I'm glad I have it. At the time it was coming out, again, I haven't read it in a long time. I'm not even sure if I have all the volumes anymore. I know I have at least one because I ran across it not that long ago. But it was great to revisit this. And now that all 5 volumes are out, maybe I'll give it a deep dive and try and figure out exactly if there's any real thread throughout that I can really follow in any meaningful way. Behind the scenes stuff, a little later den appearance. the original covers from Den's Saga. So, and a letters column. So anyway, there's a quick look at that. I'm really looking forward to, I think the next one is, darn, I can't remember what the next one's called, but I know that the werewolf volume is the one after that, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. So 3 of Den's Wolfman type tales, and those are some of my older favorites. Okay.